like cops over.
I show you that playtime is over. I let the games begin, salute me soldier. Now I'm the captain, and all I do is win. Ball for ball, you know I'm the champion. I show you that playtime is over. I let the games begin, salute me soldier. Now I'm the captain, and all I do is win. Ball for ball, you know I'm the champion.
We are here, spitting with Spitter, aka the Abominable Dough Man tonight. In this freaking blizzard. It's Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Where else would you rather be than here with me? I want to shout out everybody that's tuning in. If you ain't hit that subscribe or like button yet, go to 2M1L Media and catch all our podcasts there. You can catch Spittin' with Spitter Wednesdays, 8 o'clock Wednesday nights. You can catch Home Team Sports Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. You can catch Around the Turnbuckle Saturdays and Sundays at 6 p.m. And you can catch Cypher Knowledge with Chrissy at 8 p.m. on Sunday nights. The show tonight is sponsored by Mom and Pop CBD Shop. Go over there, tell them I sent you. Go see Dr. Brown for the best CBD in the business. They're located at 312 Town Center Boulevard. Holla at your boy, tell him I sent you again. And now to our guest, one of the illest turntablists I've ever met in my life, DJ Ragz. My God, was good.
TJ Spitter, man, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to do this podcast. It's been a long time since we've had this much communication together. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to chatting it up with you, man.
John chiming in, my boy, bro. John, I love you, brother. Many blessings to you.
Yes, and you already know I love Architect 7, aka John.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. John, holla at me, man. We're gonna get you on here too.
That's right.
Real fast, shout out to my brother Guest the General for lacing me with this fly hoodie. But God, no doubt, always my bro. We're gonna have John chiming in all night. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. TJ Ragz, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about how I met you and John and Born Unique.
Yeah, we went on the road for a little bit, man. We went down to PA, and we kind of then we did a little bit in New Jersey too, and we just kind of did some shows. We were doing some stuff with Battle Axe at the time.
Absolutely. Hey, 1 second, Ragz. My dog is not going to come in.
All right, do your thing. So yeah, we had a blast out there while he's gone. I just want to tell him, like, we had so much fun. We still talk about that trip to this day. So TJ, sorry, I'm filling in for you a little bit, but that
appreciate
trip was just so sick, man. Like we had such a good time, and the interaction that I had with you personally was like just so genuine and nice, that I'm glad that we were able to keep in touch this whole time. Probably not as much as I wanted to, but you know how life gets a little crazy sometimes, but we're here now, and much respect, man. Much respect.
Absolutely. Much respect. We all did a show at the Eagle in Quakertown in PA.
Quakertown, cute town.
Yo, which was fire.
Yeah.
Hold on a second, yo. That's when we got pulled over by the cops. Soon as we pulled up, they got y'all and they got me right before y'all.
So the crazy thing about that was Born Unique was trying to do this last series of shows before he had to go away for a little while, and so he was kind of on the run a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
allegedly.
We get pulled over by the cops, right? And they asked for IDs, but they clearly did not pull up Born's ID because they actually just let us go with nothing. I couldn't believe it. It was just such an odd thing. It was almost like just a little quick shakedown just to see what was going on,
Yeah, same. They ran me for my license and stuff like that, and hit me with the where you going, where you coming from.
Yeah.
And let us ride.
Same deal.
And then we had the show in Atlantic City. I believe it was it Atlantic City?
It
was in Jersey somewhere.
I know we did like the legendary Boss Club, I think, in Jersey. No, that was Philly.
That
We
was
did
Philly,
some in Jersey. Yeah. I
right?
can't even remember where we were at in Jersey. That's all this gray hair right here, catching up to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's
That's
get into
right. We did do that though. Yeah.
yeah,
And then we spent like a whole day together just walking around town.
yeah. We were I think Born was shooting a video.
Yep. Yep.
Born was shooting a video. We were
Want
in
to shoot us a
Atlantic City.
video?
That shit was wild.
That was a that was a
That was a
wild trip.
wild time.
And also what I learned about
Yeah, that's it. He said it wasn't Atlantic City, it was Philly.
Philly,
That's
that's
right.
right. And we learned just how cheap everything was in PA. Like
Right.
compared to Virginia, I mean, we were drinking like fish because you can get, in Quakertown, you can get those big pitchers. Like I thought it was the price of like one beer, and they pull out a whole pitcher. So we just started drinking from the pitchers.
It's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
John
wild time.
chimed in and said it was Philly. Most
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, that
was.
was Philly. Yeah.
My brother Alan hit me up, said, "What up, family?" That my brother Alan's the one that runs the Around the Turnbuckle podcast, which is wrestling exclusive. He does a real dope show. He just had one of the legends from the Harlem Heat, Stevie Ray, on this past weekend.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I was a instructor at the Beat Refinery, and I taught a pro wrestler who I think
Okay.
is in the WWE now. He used to go by Zema Ion, but I'm unsure what his name is now. But that was when he was in the what was that called? What's the one under WWE? It's
AEW.
no. Anyways, he was a champion for a while, and
So
and I got to train him how to DJ. It was pretty cool. I got to go see some of his matches. He did one in like close to West Virginia area. Because those guys, they get paid to do stuff for WWE, but they'll go do tournaments all around the world to make their extra cash on the side. So I
my
went with
brother
him to
just
one of the
chimed
events.
in. He said NXT.
Okay, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
John chimed in and said he got pics from that joint. Yo, John, send them over, man. I love to see some of the footage.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Sacramento, California. All your friends were better DJs than you.
By far. I'm a slow learner. I'd never been real quick to pick something up.
Right.
I definitely in my mind would hear something, but I had problems executing,
Right.
And so the common joke was, if Ragz gets it before before you guys, you should just quit DJing. That's how slow I was at learning. So it was kind of cool because I joined the military, right? And I went overseas. And when I came back, I had implemented all that discipline I had learned in the military to train to DJ.
Right.
Very, very similar way, just dedication to the art. And then that kind of put things together where I had techniques, and then I just had to add my own style to it. You know what I mean? So it was really cool to come back and have my friends go, "Hey man, we think that not only have you learned so much, but we think you're ready to enter like a DMC battle,"
Right.
And so that's what kind of started it for me. I wasn't planning on ever battling,
No.
but my friends were like, "Yeah, you gotta give it a go,"
And so you entered your first battle at Howard University in 1994.
Yeah.
How'd
And
that go for you?
this didn't go too well, man. Didn't go too well. So I was going up against DJ Ghetto, who had just beat Rock Raider in the East Coast DMCs, and DJ LS1, who was the DJ for DMX and Onyx. And he was the DJ for Onyx at the time that he was at Howard. So it was very intimidating to be my first battle at Howard in the mid 90s from the West Coast when there was that whole East Coast, West Coast hatred thing going on.
Right.
So but nonetheless, regardless of that, I was awful. I thought I had this really cool routine, and it didn't go well at all. And I started getting booed, and I knew to kind of like stop my routine early because I just knew it wasn't going to get any better. So my first battle, I got booed off the stage.
It's sometimes we gotta turn them roadblocks into milestones and grow from them, man.
Absolutely.
Like if you would have put the tables down then, because most people quit after you listen. You get, how the first time I performed was for like 3 people. One of them being my wife, so of course she's supportive of me. and
Right.
the other two, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
here we are. And
Yeah. Well,
so,
it was a
go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, to piggyback off of what you're saying, you're exactly right. You can go one of two ways with it. You can walk away from it, or you can be stubborn and say, I love this too much. I don't want to go out like that. I don't want that to be my final representation of who I am on a musical level, you know?
Right. Where did the your love for the art form, right? Because DJing is different than rapping, is different than graffiti, is different than beatboxing, is different than breaking. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
where
yeah.
specifically did that love come from?
So I always loved hip hop. Like my mom took me to see Breaking and Beat Street in the theater, and she loved dancing. So, we both had that thing where we enjoyed it. I tried to break dance. I was awful. It just
Yeah.
wasn't a great thing for me. And I was more into skateboarding and snowboarding and all these, things that, teenage kids do in California, and it's painful. It hurts. And
Right.
I got into DJing because I finally got a job and was able to afford some techniques.
Right.
So when I was 16, I got those turntables and I locked myself in my room. I'd wake up, I'd be in my boxers, no shirt on, just DJing. It'd be 4 hours later, I'm still, at that same spot. I'm not really learning much because, like I was saying, it was kind of slow for me to learn. But the love was just a passion. My brother is like a studio guitar musician. He's played with the Wallflowers. He's amazing live, and I've always idolized him. So I always kind of want to be like him in a way, but with my own take to it, not to be just like him.
Right.
So it's cool, and it's funny because I think that's what fuels you. Like, all these years later, I'm still DJing, and it started in '89, just like you with MCing. Like, I've known you for a long time already, and
Yeah.
you're still at it, you're still deep in the culture, and you have a passion and want to talk to people about it, like that Howard University battle. I love telling people that it didn't go well because I came back the next year and I took second place, so it's like you can't let one little battle or one little thing change what your passion is.
No.
Even if you were to get booed off the stage every year and and
Right.
you and you never pick it up, if you love it, you love it. So I mean, there's no reason to ever stop. And with DJing and MCing and the hip hop culture, they say it's a young man's game,
Right.
and I even said it myself. Like when I was younger, I said, I'm going to DJ till I'm about 24, 25, and then I'm going to hang it up or whatever. And here I am, 47,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
still doing it. Because like a guitar player doesn't say, I'm going to hang it up when I turn 24. Like,
Right.
why can't we feel the same way about it? Like, why does it have to be this structure of age and time? So I just do me now. I'm not really concerned about being the best or having everybody love it. I'm just gonna do me, and if you like it and you want to roll along with me, that's awesome. But like, it's never gonna stop. Like, I just
And
can't at this point.
I'm the same way because like like rap is probably the only genre where they label you for your age. You know what I mean? Or just
It really
hip
is.
hop in itself and its culture. Like
Yeah,
I remember when Jay-Z came out with like 444, like people were criticizing him because what he was rapping about. Well, he's
right.
not young and in the streets anymore. What's he supposed to rap about? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you rap about what you know. You DJ
Exactly.
about what you listen to. Like lately, I've been on a lo-fi kick because I love jazzy instrumentals and I like being able to scratch, to things whenever I want or mix in and out whatever I want. So sometimes I like having that open structure of having that beat where I can kind of create and do whatever I want into it and just keep morphing it. Um,
Absolutely.
so
There's
yeah, and
nothing like that sound either. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
You can't duplicate that sound with anything else. You
Yeah,
know?
and I love '90s hip hop, and I love when people ask me to play '90s hip hop, but at the same time, no disrespect to '90s hip hop, but I played it so much that
Right.
it doesn't get me excited like it used to.
Right.
I've listened to the Tribes and De Las a zillion times. They are the gods. They are. I bow to them every day, but at the
Right.
same time, I want to keep evolving, and the way to evolve is to keep experimenting with different sounds and styles, and and evolve with that as well as equipment, you know, like a lot of older people want to say, oh man, you guys keep it real and just be real records and all this stuff. Like, that's cool if that's what you want your thing to be, but I'm not really a record collector. I'm not a guy who wants to collect history. I want to just keep evolving to be a better DJ, you know? Straight up.
Absolutely. Here's a funny story. My first love was DJing. My first love was DJing. I had my first set of techniques. I was like 14, 15 years old, you know, and I tried to evolve with it as it evolved, like, because I was always nice, like with rapping and, you know, battling and freestyling or whatever, but like DJing took a little more work for me. So I think that's why I loved it so much more.
Yeah.
And so as that game evolved, I try to evolve with it. Like, I left my Technique 1200s and I went to like the Denon CDJ joints, and then they introduced Serato and Rain and stuff like that, and that's where I stopped. You know what I mean? And like now I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for it, like, because my people up here have equipment and stuff like that, and every now and then we'll all get together and have little ciphers, you know.
Right.
And I definitely miss it, but here we are.
I would next time we get up, I would love to have a little DJ session with you. That'd be awesome.
I am so with it, bro.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing about, like, that struck me about you is, like, I took pride in like juggling and scratching and blending. And so you opened up your set in Quakertown with like a live juggling, beat blending, scratching, 20 minutes of you just going crazy. And I was like, yo.
Yeah. At that time, I was definitely in a very aggressive stance with it. You know what I mean? I think now I kind of tap dance around a little bit and then I get into it, you know.
Right.
But at that time, it was like there were so many techniques that I was working on, and I was heavy into battles at the time. So it was like, and then also, you know, I was hanging out with battle axe cats that, you know, very aggressive styles. And I kind of had to just jump up and be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this too. But I will sing, I will sing Ace of Base in the car and when we're walking around Philly, because I'm just a wild dude like
my
that,
playlist,
you know?
we're gonna get into playlist later because my playlist is wild.
Okay, all right.
Hip Hop Citizen Show chimed in, but you don't use vinyl. He's a hippie DJ now.
Yeah, you know what? I totally sold out on the whole like real DJ thing. I don't even use needles anymore. I use these things called phase. And they're these little squares that you just plug into. Oh, one of my speakers is going dead. Excuse me for 1 second. It's one of these things where you plug it into your Serato and your mixer, and it's this little box that sits on top of your record, and it just determines where it's at in the rotation instead of using a needle. So I don't even have to use needles anymore.
Damn.
Yeah.
So yo, technology is crazy. There ain't nothing like throwing some nickels on some Technique 1200s to get the needles to stay down.
That's true too. Now I don't have to worry about skipping anymore. And the fun thing is like I could take the record off of the turntable and go like this, with my hands like this, and it will scratch. It's wild because it doesn't need a needle. You know, it's just sitting on top of the record.
Wild.
Yeah.
So hip hop, I know who Hip Hop Citizen Show is, and so do you. But they are having a field day right now. He doesn't use vinyl or needles. Who is this imposter?
Who is this Ragz imposter?
Right.
You know, so I paid my dues to be able to do that though. Like,
absolutely.
I went through the trenches. I had over 10,000 records. Like it didn't make me a better DJ. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Didn't make me any less of a DJ either. But you know, if you're into record collecting and you want to have that many records, cool. But I'm not a record collector. You know, I don't like to collect things. I used to. So I'm just more into like the art and the culture and the sound. Like I want you to walk away liking the sound more so than like what gear I have or what I'm using. That to me is not very important.
I tell people all the time, carrying crates of records is not fun.
It's not fun.
It's not fun. There's nothing fun about that shit.
Yeah.
At all.
Especially in DC in the snow, you know, in the wintertime.
Nah, hell no.
Right?
So let's get back to the Howard University. You came back the next year, and what happened?
Yeah. So I came back. I took second place. I lost to LS1, who was defending his title.
Okay.
Um, so, but it was cool. It was a good experience for me, and it gave me some confidence that I needed because I was up there, you know, shaking like a leaf up there,
Right.
and I felt very intimidated. But the next year, I just kind of had to prove a point. So I took second in that, and I beat some, you know, some pretty decent names at the time. So it like made me feel like, okay, maybe I can take a run at DMC. So I went out to California that same year and entered the West Coast DMCs, and that was back in the days where they didn't have regionals. They had just East Coast DMC and
No way.
West Coast DMC.
Right.
And I made it into the top 6 out of like 28, and there were just some of my favorite DJs were in that battle, and that really kind of helped make me move things forward a little bit to where I was getting booked a lot in Richmond and DC to do, you know, battle sets and go in record stores and do showcases and stuff like that. And that kind of just set everything up to really keep going and get into some of like battle records that I produced and being a part of the Jazz Addicts and actually making music as well, because I was put in
Right.
a position to where I could, you know, put things out and have a little bit not a big name or anything, like still a small fish, but at least I can throw something out there and, you know, maybe some of the other DJs will buy it or we'll see what happens. That kind of thing. It gave me the confidence that I needed.
Right. You
You
put
know,
out
so
a couple
battling,
battle records, bare bone battle records.
yeah, we did 3 of those.
Okay.
And the first one we just did like 700 copies, right? And
Right.
they sold out in like a couple weeks. We had distribution, and then so we decided to do 10,000 of part 2, 10,000 copies, and we pushed that everywhere, overseas, everywhere.
That's
And
a
then we did a
jump,
part
man.
3, and we signed to Bronx Science, Bud's distribution at the time, and we did well with that record, but we didn't make any money. We always learned that when you sign a record deal, you don't ever make any money.
No.
So it was like we
No,
started
they
going
always
back and
get,
putting out our own stuff.
it's like getting a loan from the bank, man. They're going to get their money first. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and then some, and then I'll tell you different numbers than what they
Yeah.
are. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
we learned that the hard way because we're like, they told us about, you know, where the record was, and then we started finding out it was all over the place. We're like, oh, so we don't really know how much was distributed.
You're not going to really tell us the numbers, are you?
Absolutely not, absolutely not. But that kind of helped me because I didn't really know how to produce very well. You know,
Okay.
when we were making those records, like the first one, we didn't even have like a sequencer on our sampler. We were just hitting like a sample button, just hoping we get it perfect every time, you know,
Right.
and we were just doing some very basic production. Um, and then the second one, we were, you know, using MPC 2000s and really making it the way you're supposed to make it. And then, you know, that kind of allowed me to do things with Architect 7 and Mud. We were doing like Jazz Addict stuff, and I was doing a lot of stuff for John at the time. John was like the first MC that I was working with when I moved to Virginia. So we have a
And
long history
he is
together.
a monster as well.
Monster. Whew.
Monster.
We used to go
Doesn't
to
get
scribble
the.
jams together, and he would rap, he would freestyle in the car the whole way up, and all of us would just stay silent. And then when he'd get quiet, we'd be like, "Hey, do it again, do it again." You know, we loved it. So yeah, mad respect to Architect 7.
So you mentioned Jazz Addicts. You're a co-creator of Jazz Addicts. What is Jazz Addicts? Like, I know what it is, but for the people listening.
Yeah, so Jazz Addicts was a really cool thing. We wanted to do a conscious hip hop record, myself and Mud, and then later on we brought Unknown into the fold, who is he's the tour DJ for Odyssey.
Okay.
And so we put out a record with no expectations of it, and we started finding out that it was on like AOL Radio, Pandora, all these things, and then we got signed to a label in Miami called Domination Recordings, and then it got signed overseas in Japan.
Nice.
And my brother, the guitar player I was telling you about earlier, he was in the Navy at the time, and he went over to Japan, and he was in Tower in Tokyo, and we were the main display of the month as you walk in, and walks in and he's like, "Oh shit, that's my brother." You know, I never really told him about it, and then So he took some pictures next to it and sent it back and sent me some nice things, some nice comments. So it's always good, like, people that you idolize, see things like that and have something cool to say about it. Kind of made my year that year when my brother saw that, so it's kind of cool. But we did quite a bit. We were part of Roxy Clothing and Quicksilver's advertising campaigns.
Nice.
Yeah, so we had a really good run with that. We put out 3 albums, and then like some instrumental projects and remix projects. And then in about 2012, we just kind of called it quits on that. And but we got out a lot of good music and had a blast doing it,
Nice. That's so, see, to me that's so dope because I understand the culture and I understand how the culture evolves. And just to say like this is what I did in this time frame, and you can go back to it and look at it as a capsule of your life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And get that almost that nostalgia feeling. You know what I mean?
It's wild because I actually do not, I swear to God, I do not listen to any of the old music that I make. So like
Me
when I
neither.
finish, yeah, when I finish making it, I'll listen to it for a while because, it's good to listen to your own music because
Right,
you make the music that of stuff that you are inspired by. So when
right.
you play, if you execute it the way you want, then it's exciting for you to hear. But I'll go real hard in the paint, listen to it over and over, and then I let it go. And then sometimes every once in a while I'll be hanging out or I'll be at a bar or something and somebody will play like a Jazz Addict song, and I'll be like, hey, that's pretty cool. I haven't heard that in a long time. I always appreciate that, but I don't sit around like listening to the records, but I did when they first came out. But I think you just keep evolving. I don't look back. I don't try to, like, on my websites, I don't, you do bios and stuff, but I try not to, like, under my Instagrams, I try not to do like long lists of things or
Right.
accomplishments, because it's like I just want to keep evolving. I just love music. That's the
Yeah.
main thing, you know what I mean?
Like I look at it like this now. Like when people ask me, I'm like, I used to rap. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? like
yeah.
like
And
now, like
Spitter, isn't it cool when people, like, when they discover it and you don't have to tell them? Like,
yeah,
I don't want to walk around telling you what I do or just constantly like in your face about it. Like, I'd rather, like, about it. I've been to
right,
a battle and somebody will come up and be like, "Hey man, are you the Ragz that did the battle records and jazz, and then Return of the DJ stuff? Like, did you do like?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's cool that you knew that kind of stuff, like." And then it becomes a fun experience to where you're not like constantly being like a walk around bio. You know what I mean?
yeah. Even with this, like I don't even really like promoting like that. Like I'll do like the day before the show, I'll throw up a flyer or something
Yeah,
like that. But I don't get too crazy into the pro. Like the show's not about me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm just the voice behind the show. I'd much rather have my show be about like the people that I choose to have on. You know what I mean?
right, right.
We got
You know
some.
what? You know what else though? I think it is, Spinner, and I could be wrong in this, but like my assumption is you're a lot like me, where um it's like it's one of those things where you've been humbled by life.
Yeah.
So like back in the day, I used to be kind of uh like a little big headed about things, like young and dumb, and I would
Mm-hmm.
sit there and think, like I probably couldn't walk through a door at some points in my life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
A little bit of too much ego issues going on, and then life kind of beats you down sometimes, and then you become humbled by it, and then you learn how to love things better. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like I tell
That,
people all the time, like people ask me like how I'm doing or whatever. I'm just like, I'm happy to be here. You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
it. Bare
yeah,
minimum. I'm just
yeah,
happy to be here.
yes,
And it's because like at from 14 to like 29, I had this boulder of a head on my shoulders. Like no one was a better rapper than me. And honestly, I wasn't even really that good.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, but we got some questions. Question coming in. Chrissy Richards, who does Cypher Knowledge with Chrissy Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Why don't you listen to your old stuff?
So it's one of those things where I'm evolving and working on music now. You know, I loved what I did back then, and I listened to it heavy back then. But where I'm focusing now is I want to spend time making new music, listening to
Right.
new music I create, and going above things. Like I'm always constantly hanging out with other DJs, sessioning with them, trying to evolve, learn new things. Because like I said, it's very slow for me to learn new things. So what I do is I like to hang out, spend time with people, like treat friends like family, you know, like, and then evolve with the music. So a big thing that I've done with music is I used to do music totally differently. Back then when I was working on music, it was like we were like telling people like, oh, you should redo that part of your vocal right there and kind of sound a little bit different like this, and then you should, oh, Rags, on these cuts you should like go back and maybe this one little part's meant, like, I don't scrutinize anymore. Like most of the time, like what I practice usually ends up being what I recorded, because I like a more natural feel. So I feel like when I listen to my older stuff, I feel like I hear more of a mechanical, like I spent a lot of time just doing that one little piece, as opposed to like now when I work on music, it's a little bit more flowy. So that's kind of the reason why I don't want to get stuck in a pattern of like listening to this and like being up on it. Like I don't think that helps you evolve. You know, I think that
Right.
people that evolve keep moving on.
And like for me, and to piggyback off of you a little bit, like I listen to my stuff so much while I'm in the recording process. You know, every take
Yes.
I'm over and over and over and over and over. And so like when the album's done, right? So like I make an album, the album's done, I listen to the whole thing in the entirety, and then I become the worst critic of myself. Like, why did I say that word like that? I could have rapped that
Yeah.
verse better. You should have
Yeah.
rapped on the snare instead of the bass. And
Yeah.
like it just turns into a spiral out of control of me over criticizing myself.
Right. And then it takes 2 years to do an album, which could have taken you 2 weeks,
Right.
you know, because you're sitting there going over and over and like over analyzing, you know, and then it gets to the point to where the music doesn't sound as flowy. It's
No.
almost becomes mechanical because you're like, punch me in here, redo this part here. Like, and I also tell people like because you know, I have a couple other things I haven't told you about, but like, I'm going to be on a Guilty Simpson EP coming up here pretty soon.
No.
I'm on like
No.
five of the 7 songs on it, and it was a good experience working with Guilty. But one of the things that I did on that was like, I would just tell people like, now when I'm in the studio or somebody asks me to do cuts, I say, hey, if you're gonna ask me to do cuts, you're asking me to do cuts because you want what my sound is. So like, don't ask me if I could do cuts that sound like DJ Premier. Don't go back and say, can you redo this? I'm kind of like a one and done. Like I spend a lot of time or work really hard on your project, but like you don't go up to Bob Ross right after he painted you a painting and go, hey man, this painting's really awesome, but could you paint the orange a little bit, you know, a little bit darker on the sun? Because
Right.
I think it would be better that way. Like you don't do that with art, man. The art is from that person's soul. Like if they're giving their 100%, you shouldn't, like sometimes people will do stuff for me and I won't fully understand it at the time, but I won't judge it. I won't ask for a redo. I won't give a negative opinion on it because maybe I'm just not understanding it at the time, because I asked that person to be on my project because I like that person's style. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's a big difference on why I record now as opposed to like going into a studio. I don't go into any studios anymore. I do everything out of my house because like I
Right.
don't like that record button being on and everybody staring at you. Then you're like you're trying to be like too impressive and you're not being flowy and stylish. So yeah, it's just a whole different way of recording nowadays.
Have much rather have it be organic. You know what I mean? Like
That's it.
I'm
That's it.
not jumping on it like because people ask me for features all the time, and
Yeah.
everything doesn't make sense to me. Like if I don't rock with you as a person or what you're about, why am I on your project? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I
Right.
mean that respectfully. I don't mean any disrespect by it, but like let's be clear, like you know, and not to be an ass because I'm not trying to be an ass, but like it just doesn't make sense to me. You know?
Right. Well, you know, we're also at different points of our life right now where you can be a little bit
Absolutely.
more real, you know, and say
Yeah.
what you want. And there's not going to be some kind of like altercation. But back in those days, you know, unfortunately, hip hop was so aggressive back then to where it was like
Right.
you had to walk in and mean mug. Like as a DJ, I'd have to go in and sometimes show a little attitude before I got on the tables,
Right.
like to kind of demand that attention right then and there. Like I
Right.
don't feel that that's the same way. I think it's kind of mellowed out in that sense. I think that people can judge it upon what the value of the art is instead of
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
this like alter ego crazy super serious guy who can't smile or You know what I mean? You remember those days? Like it just
Yeah. Oh my
everybody's
God.
mean mugging. What you looking at? Like why you bumping into me? Like it just.
A running joke with us back in the day would be like, we get all dressed up and go out to the club and stand there and just look hard for no reason, mean mug for no reason.
Yes,
That's
yes,
just
me
not a good
too.
time.
It's not a good time.
No, like,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's why, like, there's certain people that I'm glad that I met in my life where I met them at. Like, y'all caught me in my like transition phase from being
yeah,
an asshole to the man who I am now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because like I spent a lot of time in that mean mug phase.
yeah.
You
We
know?
all have. We all have. I'm
So
embarrassed by some of the. So, like I look back and cringe at some of the ways. Some of the ways were just awful.
every now and then, Jackie, my wife, will show some old pictures, and it'll be like some unreal, like hard mug pose, like I'm fresh out of jail. Like, what are you so angry for? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes I'll still catch
But
myself in that mode when somebody's like, take a picture. I'm like, I always gotta remember, you better smile, fool. Don't give them serious looks.
right. So back to and we're gonna keep bouncing back and forth on your
Yeah,
DJ career because to me
absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
fascinating. We're in the
Cool.
culture. It's fascinating. 2018, you were the DMC finalist to where you thought you should have won.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So here's the deal with that. All right. So 2017, I think it was, I did the World Online Championship.
Okay. I lost you.
Oh,
There you go.
there it goes. I'm gonna forget these headphones. They just keep popping on and off. So I took top 10 in the world 2017, and then 2018 I entered DC DMCs, just a regional. I don't know if I necessarily felt like I should have won, but how I felt about it when I left was I didn't care how I did because I was so happy with my personal performance that
Right.
I just really didn't care who the winner was. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I definitely thought I should have placed, like I and that's being confident, like I don't always feel that way, but I felt like I was giving them something a little different, but I've never made my sets to conform. So like I still like doing boom bap beats. I was cutting over Jay Dilla beats and stuff. And then like, a lot of the battle scene, the sound and styles changed a lot and how they approach it's changed a lot. So I liked what I had to offer. So I was surprised I didn't place, but I walked out of there. John was with me. Unknown was with me. We had a few people with us. We partied after that battle like we won. You know what I mean? And we had a good time. And I wasn't like when I didn't place, it wasn't like I was like shaking my head or anything. It was just kind of like, I'm so proud of what I did. Fellas, let's go party, man. Let's do it. Because like I had worked so hard to execute, and then I made mistakes during my set to where I started having to improvise. And I liked my improvises better than what I had planned. So I'm sitting there up on stage smiling and laughing at myself because I just couldn't believe that happened. I just worked my way out of a rut, which was something that one of my idols, Mixmaster Mike, always says. When you have a mistake, the sign of getting that experience to say that you can kind of hold your own at any point is when you make a mistake on the records and you can play it off and play into it and make something even more amazing out of it. Right. That's when it gets super real. Like what are you gonna do now? You're backed into a corner.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean I cherish those moments, and every once in a while I'll go back and I'll watch them, and I'll kind of go, I'll either cringe or I'll be like, hey, there's some real value there, like, because I do want to do one thing. I don't know if any DJs ever entered a DMC at 50, but I'm going to be 50 in 3 years. And I told everybody in DC, I'm coming back at 50 and I'm coming for your necks. So let's go.
Fire. That's fire.
That's right.
So currently now you're in a turntable band?
Yeah. So, we're called Jars, and it's,
okay.
This guy named Jam Burglar, and then Alf of Hip Hop Slam, and then myself and DJ Select.
Right.
And we just get up. Well, we used to get up a lot. With this COVID, we haven't gotten up, but we used to get up like every other month and just record and improvise stuff. You know, there's 4 DJ setups. One guy's drumming, one guy's playing horns, one guy's playing vocals, some guys scratch drumming, you know, and we make songs just on the fly. So it's just one of these things that we get together. We have a website called vibejars.com, and
Vibejars.com.
yeah, and you can peep it there. It's just a good time. It's good being in a turntable band, because then you're not. It's fun to be a supporting cast instead of always having to be the guy that everybody's just staring at one person. It's nice to always be like there's 4 people and they're all assisting each other. It's a different way of looking at it. So
Absolutely.
it's
fun. That's almost like why now, like I only kind of strictly want to do features. You know what I mean? They're like, there's no pressure.
It's
you know
fun.
what I mean? Just go in and blaze at 16 and be out.
Yeah, you get it. You get
it.
it.
I think it comes with age.
Yeah. And
you also have. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it just takes a lot of the pressure off, and you could even sound better that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you also have a musical food series.
Yes. Myself and Unknown.
TooFatMusic.com.
TooFatMusic.com. That's my favorite stuff. You know.
Right.
The best way to describe it is we do several different foods. Like we have one called burgers and sliders. So burgers, you think of, okay, so California is the burger capital of the US, right? So when you think of California, you think of G-Funk, and you think of like the gangster movies and stuff. So we made a G-Funk album where I took all samples from the West Coast from that era, and Unknown, I gave him some samples and he had some samples, and he made beats based off of what they used to like to sample a lot during that era. And we made a whole like G-Funk gangster rap album with just like cuts and scratches and dope beats. We have one called Tacos that I did with Scruff. One called Discount Seafood with DJ Select. You know, there's 6 of them right now. We're getting close to finishing like 10, so we have a bunch that we just have to put out. So it's a fun, exciting series. We really enjoy making those, and it's not. We put them out there. You could download them for free, or you could name your price. So we're not really concerned about becoming rich off of it or whatever. It's just a project for the love, because I was getting kind of tired of like always cutting 8-bar verses and doing all this stuff. And I was talking to Un, and I was like, I kind of think I'm at the end of this. I don't know if I really want to do this anymore, And then he was like, well, why don't we make unformatted music? And so we got heavy into that.
Chrissy Richards chimes in and say, you had me here thinking the album came with a burger. Damn.
Well, you know what's funny? So if you bought the cassette when it came out, it came in a burger bag. So like it's like this, it's like this silver bag. Fire. So it almost kind of was like that. But and I personally love hamburgers better than any other food on the planet. So
really?
I do. I'm a burger guy. I'll go to any place and I'll be like, I want to try their burger.
The more you know with Ragz. This is news to me. Yeah. Matter of fact, we was at where were we at? TGI Fridays that time in PA, and you got the burgers there.
always get the burger.
Yeah. That's crazy. So now you got an upcoming EP? You have an EP coming out?
Yeah, it's called The Practice of Life. And so what it was is there was a friend of mine named Product 90 who he wasn't originally a beat maker, right? He was more of a b-boy, and he started learning how to make beats, and he was sending me stuff, and I just kept listening. And he would send John Architect 7 a lot of stuff as well. And we just started like listening, and then Architect 7's like, dude, you really need to listen to what he's making now. So I was like, hey man, send me as much stuff as you can. So he sent me a folder of like 400 beats. So I was like, okay, all right, challenge accepted. So I downloaded them all into my phone, and while I was at work, I was slowly like dwindled it down. So it went from 400 to 200 to 100 to 22, and then what songs that actually made the EP. And then so I did it, and it's basically a dedication to the culture piece. It's got samples from like Pete Rock and Grandmaster Flash and all the legends, Mos Def, talking about the game and making beats and all this stuff. And then I kind of just put my little twist on things with it, a little here and there. And then Unknown took it when I was done with it, and he curated the whole album, and he did so much with it, and then engineered it to make it sound so much better than what I submitted to him. So I'm really excited about the project. It should be coming out in the next week or two, and we're just thrilled about it. Like, I've been listening to that album a lot because we just finished it. But
as soon as it's done, let me know so I could get a sample.
You know, I'm gonna send you an advanced copy. I'll send you one tonight.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate that. The
sure.
begging segment of the episode.
And we're also that's also gonna be a name your price project. There's no, like, you can either take it for free or you could throw a little donation, which I would definitely not be mad at because I need to get a burger soon here. So
with that being said, you know, I don't like to keep my guests, and I know you're out there trucking it in a car trying to get that good Wi-Fi because we're all in the middle of this blizzard right now.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I'm there's a Starbucks right behind me. There's a Shell gas station over here, Chick-fil-A, and a supermarket. But I wasn't getting a good Wi-Fi connection, and I, you know, and I love you, bro. I had to be on the show, man. I couldn't not be on the show. So I was like, I'll just drive to the parking lot. There's a Starbucks over there. So
I greatly appreciate that. So
this show's brought to you by Starbucks.
Yo, with that being said, I want to know 2 questions. First one, what's in Ragz playlist?
You know, most of my stuff is lo-fi, and I never really like, I have, so I'll do sets, right? Like, I'll find like 40 or 50 lo-fi beats, and I'll have a folder and say lo-fi folder 1, lo-fi folder 2, lo-fi folder 3. And what I do is I just keep listening to those, you know, and then I'll kind of mix and match them. Because I like DJing lo-fi sets. I did a lo-fi festival not too long ago, and it went over really well. So I really like hanging out in that realm. But man, I mean, one of my favorite rappers, mainly because he makes the beats and he raps and he kind of sings his own hooks. I'm a huge Mocha Only fan.
Okay.
So like that's one of my favorite rappers. You know, I was a long time People Under the Stairs fan. You know, I like jazzy boom bap beats, very conscious hip hop. But now there's just so many dope artists on SoundCloud that, you know, it's hard to like pick like one specific artist these days because there's so many talented people. You know, me and John talk about all the time, you know, that people say, oh, there's no good music out there these days or whatever. It's like, just ain't looking, man. Just not looking. Because the best stuff is being made right now. I mean, no disrespect to people in the past, like they paved the ways, but like evolution is real and things evolve and people get better with time, you know? So like, I love what's happening right now in music. I think it's exciting and it should always feel that way. You know, the second that you're like, oh, it's not as good anymore, then you're that old person that like you're, you know, when your mom and dad would be like, you know, you don't, this isn't as good as Barry Manilow or whatever it is that they like, you know, it's there's an evolution to it. And not to say that stuff's bad. It's just, you know, I think it's good to evolve with the times.
Absolutely. So who are your top 5 rappers of all time?
Top 5 rappers.
Welcome to Spittin' with Spitter. I'm just happy to be here.
Okay. So for many purposes, I like Redman. It's not necessarily the fact that he's like a lyrical miracle guy, but I'm so entertained by him. I put Busted in there. I really like the way he came off on his newest album. I feel like the way he flows is unreal. I opened up for him a long time ago. He was actually a really, really nice guy too. So like, I'm always rooting for that guy. Anytime he puts something out, I support it. Like,
he's different, bro. He's a fucking alien.
He's an alien. I've always liked Mos Def. Mos Def's up there for me. And I know I said Mocha Only before. Let's see, number 5. Who'd number 5 be? Well, I have to add a couple of those. I still listen to Rakim a lot. Because I just like his flow and his delivery. I try to scratch like how rappers rap. I try to click my fader, cadences of style like that. I'm also a big Nas fan. because of that. I like his flows. I don't necessarily like everything Nas makes.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
there were
me neither. But you can't. His delivery and how he flows is just so effortless.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like watching LeBron in the gym. Like,
yeah.
the same.
But there was a lot of dope rappers, coming up during like I don't know if you remember the website Sandbox Automatic where all the DJs would buy their records and stuff, but like like RC and the Grassroots and Mountain Brothers and Lewis Logic. There was a lot of stuff even back then that was really tight that really didn't get the love I think it really deserved. J Zone. I mean, there's so many dope rappers from that era too. I still listen to some of that old stuff to be honest with you.
Word.
Got a playlist of that.
So
Yeah.
now here on my show, I like to give the guests a moment to feel free to ask me whatever you want to ask me, and we can shoot.
Okay. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. Okay, I got one for you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a food project that I'm about to start. If
Okay.
I send you a folder of the beats that I'm going to use for it, would you be a part of the project?
Absolutely.
Cool,
I
cool.
would. I would absolutely love to.
That would be awesome because we always try to feature one MC on each food project. It doesn't always happen, but
Oh,
there's
fuck
always
yeah.
like an MC that comes on and does a little damage. And that's what we did on the Practice of Life, the newest album. We have Rafik of Cult Fiction. He does like a 16 bar verse on there, and that's it. Like just one and done. It's more about beats and the cuts and the vibe and the flows, but like having an MC come on and break it up, it makes it so magnificent. And it's kind of like reversing the situation where like, oh, there's a little bit of a rapper here, but
I'd be
um,
honored, bro. That's so amazing.
also, are you a sports fan?
Absolutely.
What's your favorite sport to watch?
Basketball.
What team?
Chicago Bulls.
Chicago Bulls. So you're a Jordan fan?
Absolutely.
Is he the GOAT?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I have a very unfortunate situation with basketball because I'm from Sacramento and I'm a Sacramento Kings fan, and it's a tough pill to swallow for sure.
I love them when they had Bibby and Weber.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
You
good.
know, I
Yeah,
love them when they had Bibby and Weber.
Chris
But yeah,
Webber.
I'm a Mike fan from way back.
Yeah,
I
Chris
grew
Webber
up watching Mike.
he had a restaurant in Sacramento, and
Mm,
we used to always try to go in there, hopefully to see him. But
right.
he was never in there. It was a cool little spot. We had Sacramento's a small city, so even though the Kings don't necessarily ever do well, they get good ratings and they fill the seats because people are so happy that in a small town they have a pro team to watch. It's just kind of
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah, but they're overdue. They need the good players. They need to get something
They
going.
got. I think is Vladdy still in the front office?
I think so. I know him and Peja do kids camps there, kind of like
Yeah.
how like a lot of the pros in different cities do kids camps. So
Mm-hmm.
they run a kids camp, Vlade and Peja together in Sacramento.
That's dope.
So it's
That's
pretty
dope.
cool. Yeah, I'm a big Peja fan. He was one of my
Me
favorites.
too, man. There was no shooter like Peja Stojakovic back in the day.
Yeah, because I mean, back in that era, it was like San Antonio kind of discovered that the foreign players, right? There was a lot
Right.
of foreign players, and then Sacramento jumped on it, and that's when they started doing good. They
Right.
got Turkaloo and Peja, and then
Mm-hmm.
things started to kind of change for them a little bit. So yeah, yeah. Much
Yeah.
respect to the international players.
Fact. Fact.
All right, so I learned a little bit about you with the basketball. I haven't really been in love with basketball lately, just because of the team stacking, and if I know who's going to win at the end of the year before it starts, that kind of takes some of the luster out of it for me. So
High school or not high school, NBA is very hard for me to watch
yeah,
for that reason. I still watch college. I'll still watch high school. I'll still watch tournament ball. You know what I mean? But like the NBA itself is so watered down. And like, if I want to see some highlights, I'll just go to ESPN and see who won and who had the game of the night or whatever. But that's about it.
yeah, yeah. Same. I'll catch a game every once in a while, but it's usually not the Kings because I'll fall asleep by halftime. They're so bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know. But yeah, I've gotten more into baseball.
Really?
We have this hat is actually the Frederick Keys, which is in Maryland, not too far from me, about an hour drive. And they have a little stadium, and for $10, you can go down there, free parking, beers are like $5. People are so happy to see you there, and they take care of the kids. Like after the game, like they shoot off fireworks and let the kids run the bases. It's just kind of a cool experience. So I kind of feel like they kind of taken baseball back to like the roots and being fun and enjoying it. So I watch a lot of the minor league teams.
That's dope, man. That's
Yeah,
dope. I was never really a baseball guy at all.
I see. I pitched a little bit in high school, so it's always been something that I always enjoyed watching. However, I wasn't that great, but
better DJ.
Yeah, for sure. I had much more passion for music. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Same. DJ Ragz, listen, my brother, it's been a pleasure and a blessing. Likewise. I appreciate you coming on so much, man.
Dude, I love you, Spitter, man. Anytime, man. Anything you need.
Much love, bro. Absolutely. Now we gotta do a record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely.
And for that, before we get out of here, I just want to shout out my people again one last time. Go to 2M1L Media, click that little bell, subscribe. That's where you can catch all our shows. We have Home Team Sports and Entertainment Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. We have Around the Turnbuckle Saturdays and Sundays at 6 p.m. We have Cipher Knowledge with Chrissy, 8 p.m. Sunday nights. We have Spittin with Spitter, 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. This show was sponsored by Mom and Pop CBD Shop Wellness Center. That's over there at 310 Town Center Boulevard in Easton, PA. Go over there, tell them I sent you. Holla at your boy, DJ Ragz. It has been a blessing, my brother. I hope you have a good night. Drive home safely. Thank you for weathering the storm for me. I appreciate you, bro.
Love you, G, and appreciate everybody out there tuning in and checking it out.
Absolutely. Much love, my guy, and we will see you soon.
Sounds good.
You know that I'm nice. Look what dope did to me. Playtime's over.